Alrighty, here we are on our 4.3, 4.5 combination video. So we're going to start in lesson 3 here, the relationship of multiplication and addition. So the opening exercise says to write two different expressions that can be depicted by the tape diagram shown. One should be addition and the other should be multiplication. So looking here, we have 3 boxes, and I think that we can all see that this would be 3 plus 3 plus 3. But if we think about it in multiplication terms, this could be 3 times, which would be 3 times 3. Right? If we look at example B here, we have 8 boxes, so this would be 8 plus 8, or in multiplications, this would be 8 2 times, which would be 8 times 2. And C here, we have 5 boxes each, so we'd have 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is the same thing as 5 times 3. Right, so that's kind of just our introduction here. So we're going to move from the visual to now looking at it using letters and numbers. So it says write an equivalent expression to demonstrate the relationship of multiplication and addition. So here, if we have 6 plus 6, this would be the same thing as 6 times 2. Right here, we have 3. It would be times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So that would be 3 times 6. Here we have 4 added up 5 times, so this would be 4 times 5 then. Now here they gave us the multiplication, so with multiplication you could look at them 2 ways when rewriting them as addition. You could have 6 2 times would be 6 plus 6, or you could do 2 added up 6 times, which would be 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, one more, plus 2. Alright, if you look at the next one, same idea. This could be 4 added up 6 times, so 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Or it'd be 6 added up 4 times, which would be 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. F, we have 3 times 9, so we could write this out as 3 added up 9 times, so we'd have 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 9 added up 3 times, which I think is a lot nicer to write. 9 plus 9 plus 9. Right here we've got some h's added up. So if we're going to rewrite it as multiplication, we're trying to figure out how many times we have h here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would be 5 times h. But remember, when we have a variable, we just attach it to the number, which would just be 5h. And the last one, we have 6 y's. So we're just going to add up y 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 then. Right? And we're going to skip number 3, and we're going to skip this page for now as well. We might come back to it in class. And we're going to jump over to lesson 5 now, which is about exponents. So I want you to write this note up at the top. Exponents, when we use exponents, this is just the shorthand for repeated multiplication. Alright, so I think some of you are going to like this because that means we have to write less things. Alright, so if we look here, we're going to look at this first one. This would be 4. This is 4 added up 10 times, so this would equal 4 times 10. Here we have 9 added up 9 times, which would be 9 times 5. And here we have 10 added up 5 times, so this would also equal 10 times 5. Alright, now though, we're going to look at the difference here. In example 1, we have 5 multiplied 5 times. So this is where our exponents come in. We have our base of 5, and it's multiplied 5 times, so that's going to go up top in the exponent. So this top number, write yourself a note, this is called the exponent. And this bottom number is called the base. Alright, and the exponent, you write this down as well. The exponent is how many times multiplied. Alright, so I know this seems confusing, but stick with me, and the more you practice it, the easier it'll become. So if we look here at example 2, we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So our base is 2, and it's multiplied 4 times, so 4 would be our exponent, so we would have 2 to the 4th. Here now we're going to expand this out. We have 8 to the 3rd, so this would be 8 times 8 times 8. And I want you to write this down. This would be 8 multiplied 3 times. Alright, so we're going to have to be able to say this in words as well as writing it down on the paper. Here we have 10 to the 6th power, which would be 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, one more times 10, and this is 10 multiplied 6 times. And now here we just have the variable g, but it's g to the 3rd, so it would be g times g times g, so it would be g multiplied 3 times. Right. We're going to skip the part here where it says about using a calculator, but I want to look at this bottom part, and I'm going to put it in red because it's very important. It asks, what is the difference between 3g and g to the 3rd? So 3g, if we remember from the first part of the video, this is g added 3 times. G to the 3rd, on the other hand, is g multiplied 3 times. So up top, this would be g plus g plus g, and on the bottom, this would be g times g times g. Put a big star by this, highlight it, write it in a different color. This is extremely important. All right, and I'm going to talk with you about this in class tomorrow to make sure that we know the difference, all right, because if you know the difference between this, then you'll be very successful in math as we move forward. All right, and if we're still confused, that's all right, we'll just go over more of it in class. All right, we are going to go to the next page though, and we're going to look at the examples here. So here we're just expanding these, or we're condensing them. So we have 3.8 to the 4th, so it's the same thing with decimals. We would just have 3.8 times 3.8 times 3.8 and then times 3.8. Right here we have 2.1 times 2.1, and we're going to write it using an exponent. So we'd have 2.1, and I'm going to put inside parentheses to the 2nd power. Right, when you're using decimals, I think parentheses are a great thing to use for exponents just because of that decimal point, and I don't want you to think that it's just 1 to the 2nd power, but it's the whole thing to the 2nd power. Alright, so the same thing here with the 0.75 would be 0.75 inside the parentheses to that 3rd power. Alright. And now it says here that, remember that the base number can also be a fraction. So we are going to condense them and then actually multiply this out. So this is 1/2, right, to the 3rd power. It's multiplied 3 times. So if we multiply that out, remember we multiply straight across the top, so 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Times another 2 would be 8. So we would get 1/8 as our final answer. Then down here we have 2/3 to the 2nd power. We are going to expand that out first, so we have 2/3 times 2/3. And now if we multiply across, 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that is our final answer. Alright. And then if we look at the last page here, we're going to skip the table. The only thing I want to note here is in number 2 and number 3. In number 2, we have this term cubed. I want you to write down, help you remember that cubed is to the 3rd power. And then in number 3 here, we have the word squared. And squared is the second power. So you will hear a lot about things being cubed or squared. So you need to know that cubed is the third power and squared is the second power. And anything after that we really don't say. We'll just say to the fourth power, to the fifth power, just because we really don't have good words for that. Alright, I know that was a lot for one video, but you'll see in the classwork that it's very condensed, and we'll have some more practice in class tomorrow. Just make sure to bring any questions you have with you.